Also, Matthew said the performances would be wooden and lifeless in the film, but as mentioned, Samuel L. Jackson and Ian McGregor were great. And also Natalie Portman is really underrated. She really gets across the sadness, worry, and confliction in her character, as well as the doubt, but also love, comfortingness, and somberness, and Hayden Christensen is actually really good. He really could show the anger when he turned evil, the guilt. The scene where he kills Windu is fantastic, but also the frustration and rebelliousness as well. As his love for Padme, he did really seem to like her and acted comforting towards her, and really love-struck. His important performance, like in the last film, is really underrated. Also, to focus more on the tone, Redlettermedia complains the film is too dark. After 2 would be too light. Empire was great for being dark, which again also had comedic relief and action, and comments this would supposedly be a series for all ages. Yeah, so was Harry Potter, yet do I have to comment on the earlier films versus the later films? Again, he, like many people, complained the comedy would be awkward and out of place, but the comedy in the opening was Anakin and Obi-Wan were still friends and was actually mostly more subtle and character-driven. Anakin immediately cuts his way out of the elevator, showing he is still young of mind, and he and Obi-Wan really work together as a team during the crash landing, and R2 being able to destroy bigger droids is fun contrast in classic Star Wars. And also there is little humor in the middle from final acts, because those are really dark parts. The comedy helps show Anakin and Obi-Wan had become better friends. Now the CGI would again be bad. There's a part here where Reviewer 1 said he has had it and will come for both Matthew and Plinkett with a chainsaw, and after that there really isn't anything. I guess I will have to improvise. No, it isn't bad. The explosions in the opening, as well as the ships, look three-dimensional. The droids look harsh. It has all the details of mass, but even having moved shadows and ships being affected by the sun's conditions. In the opening shot, the sun comes from the left, and we see the ship being dark on the right side, and very light on the left side. The CGI in the Opera House was to represent moving light, like in the art house, and it looks very three-dimensional. Coruscant looks three-dimensional as well, and its environment is affected by the light also. The plants on Fantasy Light Planet looked organic. Atapu had depth. The temple had detail and was affected by nightfall. The visuals are detailed and very well done, and there is nothing wrong with it being CGI, as it's done on a $110 million budget by ILM, and the result is fantastic. Redlettermedia complains that the blue screen for restricted people is really weak. He mentions that there isn't any exciting action when they discover Palpatine is a Sith Lord. Yeah, because Palpatine isn't going to attack them any second. It isn't supposed to create suspense. This was a character moment. Palpatine has to be killed, and Anakin now has to choose between saving Padme or being a loyal Jedi. There is no action here, as it wouldn't further the story, because action would further the story. Didn't Plinkett make a case for this in his review of the Star Trek Nemesis? He praised people walking down a hallway as exciting. Why? Because it was about what the conclusion was going to be, what was going to happen. The stakes were important. Similarly, here Anakin cries in the console looking at Padme's building, which he can see, but he cannot see her. And she looks at him when he senses something is wrong. He has to cry as he feels as though he has to become evil, not to lose the woman he loves. This actually is a more subtle use of visuals, and Plinkett criticizes the prequels for being big video games, yet when they don't have pointless action, they are boring. Sorry, my computer accidentally did something stupid. Gonna have to edit that out. Sorry. If they try something new, it is too different, but borrowing elements is self-plagiarism. When Anakin and Obi-Wan have an established friendship, it is show don't tell, but when he and Padme meet for the first time, they wouldn't know each other, therefore not justifying a deeper connection. 2 is too light, 3 is too dark. The originals had a deeper meaning to them with the Force, yet when this film tries that with politics, it is boring, and you need to keep it nice and simple plot-wise. But just being spiritually deep would be self-plagiarism, and anywho, so now the actors weren't restricted if they wanted to, they would have complex action, like in the opening when they fight droids or Dooku or Grievous, but that would be visually tiring and too fast actually. They could film an action-packed scene with complex camera movements. Yoda and Palpatine's fight, Anakin vs. Obi-Wan, there was fast music, stunts, explosion. They even had a whole let's see, for a scene where they were swimming on Grievous's ship, and they didn't even use that. But showing this in your review would not allow you to make Lucas seem lazy. Well, he isn't. You know what they call that? Dishonest. Also, just having the actors say the lines as well as they can, and having the best lines is sometimes the job of a director. David Fincher, the director of Seven, The Game, Fight Club, Panic Room, Zodiac, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and The Social Network, on his audio commentary of The Game, said that visuals are meant to help tell the story, and that sometimes you shouldn't even use close-ups. That the job of a director is sometimes to just get the best lines and have them said as well as possible. He also said actors are tools, that they help tell his story, and that he even filmed scenes having actors sitting down, telling them they couldn't improvise to get up. And he is a director that puts attention into direction, cinematography, editing, lighting, set design, music, and even sound design, while he makes some films largely without action. Also, complaining Obi-Wan didn't flinch at Grievous taking out all his swords is really silly. He is supposed to be a trained knight, yet he would be intimidated just by someone making a show of move. Do the experienced heroes in movies ever do that? Also, the actors usually react a lot to their environments. Anakin and Obi-Wan, one from destroying and act stressed and overwhelmed when Obi-Wan is attacked by the buzz droids, and Obi-Wan feels the effect of his wizard making a large jump, and Yoda dodges laser blast on Kashyyyk, and Matthew again makes the ridiculous remark that they would not look interesting on Mustafar, even though they are grunting and look worried, and when Anakin nearly breaks his arm in pain, they look determined. You're saying they look bored? Doesn't make it so. And also, Redlettermedia then said the action is neat. He guesses we just don't know or care about what is happening. Okay, so that means you take back all the hating on the action that was all untrue, and also how does the new Star Trek get praised for having all the exciting camera movement when apparently the action in these films would be visually exhausting? So you agree that having action be more complex and have rich backgrounds is good, because as established, action being fast of course makes it more exciting, fluid movement, and fast pace, but in real life, fear and complexity adds realism and rewatch value, yet these films get criticized for that. Yes, the new Star Trek was a great action film, because the action was all action-packed and fast, yet too fast would disconnect the audience, and these films wouldn't be exciting. Yet they have tons of action scenes also, yet at the same time this makes them mindless video games. Yet trying to add political subtext makes it boring, and the film should have even more action, like when Palpatine is revealed to be a Sith. Even then, this would further the story, and oh my god, this is more self-contradicting than Oh, hey Reviewer 1. He's back, and he said, it has to be taken care of. I am in no way associated with Reviewer 1's criminal activities and plead innocent. Then we have the complaint, the dialogue scenes, is they just sit down or walk around and talk. Well, yes, it is quiet scenes that are not about the action or visuals, but about the story and characters. That is why dialogue scenes are dialogue scenes. Many action films have plenty of scenes where people just talk, sit down and watch TV, have dinner, or take a walk from the films of Lawrence Kasdan you love so much, like The Big Chill, Grand Canyon, and Silverado, or even Body Heat and The Accidental Tourist. To every film from David Fincher, to Forrest Gump, where Forrest just sits next to Jenny as well as his mother, who are in bed and just chats with them, or when he just talks with his new army friend and a boss while they are sitting, or even M. Night Shyamalan films, where in Signs the family just sits on a couch and at a dinner table, and a girl just does confessions sitting down. In The Accidental Tourist, we just have our main character walking with his girlfriend's son to school. Remember your analysis in Star Trek Nemesis when people walking down a hallway fits the story? That is exciting. Even Die Hard had a scene where John McClane just talks with his wife. Plenty of scenes, actually. Predator has them just talk in a helicopter. Gladiator has Max Smith just talk with Marcus. And Commodus just talking with his sister. In Alien, Ripley just argues with Ash while they are standing in a room. The Abyss from Visual Invader Cameron. The war movie Black Hawk Down from visual artist Ridley Scott. The Godfather Parts 1 and 2 from Coppola. Even Apocalypse Now has them. Tell Willard of Mission, where they are just sitting at a table. Schindler's List, Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the original Indiana Jones films, even Toy Story, Shrek, Megamind, Pulp Fiction, Blade Runner. There are so many films where there's just people talking, and he complains it isn't just that they sit down, but the camera doesn't move and they use reverse shots. Well, if you look at any of the Bourne films, you will see many political scenes with people just talking with a reverse shot. Harry Potter has this. Every film does this. Everyone has scenes that are just a drama on film. This is drama, except not every scene is visually exciting. The same way films don't have music in every scene, only when it is hitting for the story and emotion. Oh my. Redlettermedia said they just put people in front of the green screen to make the background interesting later. Yeah, and David Fincher just put people in front of a set. Using A and B cameras is how most filmmakers should do a lot of scenes. He said there is a very basic language to cinema that is ignored. The language is how to use visual like sound when it furthers the story, not whenever possible, just to make every piece of silent drama exciting. There are plenty of scenes in the original Star Wars trilogy where they just talk. Luke tells Leia Vader is his father and they are sitting down with a reverse shot, and Han comes in and they stand up and hug, and that's it. Luke just has breakfast with Owen and Bruce sitting down and stands up angry. He just sits and talks with C-3PO. He just talks with Obi-Wan in his house with a reverse shot. Till he of course gets the fucking lightsaber. Vader just talks with the Emperor in his throne room. Lando just takes them through Cloud City and they talk. Han and Leia just talk in a room. He then shows clips of aliens that would be visually exciting. Use in an action scene. Yeah, and Aliens, Ripley also just talks with Newt as he is laying in bed. Just had breakfast with the soldiers. When they discover Newt, she just talks with her. When she hears her daughter die, she is just sitting on a bench, and there are some holograms to make it look exciting, added in post-production. In The Shining, he shows a scene that has horror moment. Again, you cannot compare that to a drama scene. Visually exciting scenes that also contain music and creative cinematography are usually comedy, action, or suspense. Or adventure. Not drama scenes, those are often very slow and quite so the emotional and personal feelings sink in. He then tries to show how this was different in the original trilogy, showing one scene that is dialogue based, but not completely static, as they had Vader being separated from the commander by his pod, showing he was less human. But also in the original trilogy, Han just talks with Leia in a hall about why she doesn't want him to leave. When they kiss, they are standing up and talking. When Luke has just healed up and Leia kisses Luke, they are sitting down with over-the-shoulder angles in the throne room scene, where Luke talks with Vader and Jedi. They are just walking up to an elevator. They stop. Luke looks away and it only gets visual exciting when Vader uses the quote-unquote fucking lightsaber. That is added in post-production. Hey, they use lightsabers to make the scene interesting. Yoda is just dying, and Luke talks to him. In A New Hope, he just talks with Han Solo in front of the Falcon. After Obi-Wan saves him, they talk with a reverse shot. He talks with Han, who leaves after getting his reward, with a reverse shot. Do I need to go on? Also, he then proceeds to compare it to a complex scene with a lot of different camera angles, comparing it to the Battle of Hoth. An action scene. Yeah, if you compare action scenes to drama scenes, the drama scenes look slow in comparison. Yeah, that's... I don't even really need to say anything to that. Again, when Vader reconciles with Luke, he is lying down and he is sitting above him, with a reverse shot. When Luke tells Obi-Wan he cannot face Vader, Obi-Wan's ghost is sitting down, there's talking with reverse shot, or a master shot. Also, they don't use a visually exciting visual way to inform us Anakin's mom had died, would distract from the story. Also, bringing someone a drink and having them sit down when you bring bad news is a common way of bringing bad news. Everyone does that. Then he comments on how if you have a set and actors, plenty of which were built for the prequels, CGI was used to extend them. And props obviously, you can make the scene exciting. And he then again shows action scenes from the original trilogy. If you are going to use the Luke versus Vader fight from Empire, then we can just reference the sword fight in episode 2 with rocks thrown around, force lighting, and Yoda fighting. Oh, but wasn't that video game shit? He shows the scene where Vader reveals himself, where they shoot, which is surprising, reveals semi-action scene, a scene where Han punches Lando. Other than that, that was a simple dialogue scene, so again, it is fighting that made the scene exciting. He mentions on-set lighting. Yeah, the prequels use lighting also, as we will discuss, but for now, David Fincher also said on the game commentary that in some scenes they kept the lighting simple, as it wouldn't further the emotion or story.